Hello, welcome to the People Profit Podcast, the show where we flip the script on traditional business thinking and prove that when you put people first, profits follow. I'm Sandra Coker, your guide on this journey to more engaged teams, loyal customers, and a healthier bottom line. These episodes are brought to you by Human Power Solutions, helping organizations unlock the human potential that powers performance. Whether you're a leader, an HR pro, or a curious change maker, buckle up. We're diving into fresh stories, real-world strategies, and a few laughs along the way. Ready to turn your workplace into a profit-powered people machine? Let's get started. Welcome to the People Profit Podcast, where we uncover leadership approaches that fuel teams and drive results. I'm Sandra Coker, CEO of Human Power Solutions and the author of People Profit. And today we're exploring how empathy, AI, and strategic kindness create powerhouse cultures in tough industries like sales and insurance. Our guest is Al Kushner, a keynote speaker, LinkedIn growth strategist, and the founder and CEO of LinkedVantage. With over 30 years in sales, from building insurance empires to authoring the best-selling The AI LinkedIn Advantage, Al helps professionals like financial advisors and CPAs turn LinkedIn into a lead-generating machine. As the host of AI Authority Edge podcast, he blends cutting-edge tech with human-centered leadership to build thought leadership and lasting relationships. Al, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
We're excited to have you here the day after Christmas. Are you ready to dive into your honey empire philosophy?
Absolutely. Let's make it happen.
That's great. Awesome. So if his strategies spark a shift in how you lead, please hit like, follow, share, and subscribe to the podcast. Your engagement spreads insights to more teams. Let's get rolling. Awesome. So Al, first question for you. Your 30 years in sales started in high rejection fields, insurance, all those kinds of things where you always get no. So this is where you built teams through empathy over fear. What happened? Tell us a little bit about your journey and how you kind of came to that conclusion.
Well, I guess I started in the industry as a telephone solicitor at the time. And that was back in the day where there was no caller ID and you get people on the phone and you try to, get an appointment. That's really what it was. And I was really good at it, actually. People were hiring me before I even got into the insurance business because they didn't want to get on the phone. And for me, it was like, it was a game, I had more fun making appointments than actually selling insurance. If you can believe that. But it was something that was, something I'm proud about. And I always worked for myself since 21. So it was something that I had an entrepreneurial spirit, and it just led me to look for opportunities, to expand my brand. And I started on LinkedIn back in 2006, I believe, where it's just kind of getting started. And I've seen it grown over the years. So I was really impressed by it. And I kind of stuck with that platform as a way to do outreach. Been there ever since.
Nice. So when you think about the teams that you've built, through this, and old school leadership doesn't work, and then you made your shift, like you said, to LinkedVantage and AI driven strategies. What sparked that shift for you?
Well, I say that it was something that I needed to establish myself as a thought leader. So I created the book, the AI LinkedIn Advantage, because there was nothing really actually on the marketplace, and all of my clients were asking me the same questions. I figured, well, let's put it in a book and make it easy for people to understand. And that was something really exciting. And that was really a team effort. Doing a book is a team effort. It's you're not alone in this. And it wasn't my first book. I've done several books before that, but I'm proud of my work, and I'm excited to share some insights.
That's awesome. So when you think about the AI, LinkedIn Advantage, and you think about all of that, you've seen how, tech doesn't necessarily take over; it amplifies the human connections. So, when you think about when you were leading your insurance teams, how did leading those teams teach you that kindness isn't soft, It's the aggressive edge in today's talent wars.
Well, I would say that the AI technology has made it much easier to communicate, to come up with ideas for content,
Hmm.
scripts of video, and using that leverage in platforms like LinkedIn was a game changer, I think, because it really was. I was able to reduce a lot of the teams I was working with, thanks to AI technology, and have that available to me 24/7 was really something incredible.
Yeah. So talk a little bit about marketing. What is that for you? What does that mean for you?
It's marketing.
Yeah.
Well, I think marketing is just really using AI technology to your advantage. It's just something that it gives you that leverage over the competition. So that's really what you
Yeah.
need to do.
I love it. I love it. So talk a little bit about the book, The AI Authority Edge, or your podcast, The AI Authority Edge. And what kinds of things do you cover in that? And how does that help people just kind of gain that leverage that they need over other people?
Well, my episodes drop 4 times a week, and there are solo episodes at right now. And it really focuses on, for example, tips and tricks to use with the LinkedIn. I talk about also some of the um, achievements and mistakes people have made by using AI
Hmm.
technology, which I think
Yeah.
is important for people to know about. And FAQ Friday, which really answers a lot of people's questions about some of the things that they can use AI to help them, expand their business and using LinkedIn for their advantage. So, yeah, it's and the short episodes, 10 minutes average or less.
Okay.
So it's really bite-sized things that people can take on the go.
That's really great. Is there anything in particular that you see works better than others these days?
In terms of what?
In terms of a tool or AI or a tip or trick or like to get people to engage, like is there anything that
Oh,
you see that yeah.
yeah, sure. Well, the key thing is frequency, and particularly when it comes to LinkedIn, they don't want a once a week type of thing. They want 3 times a day if you want to get any kind of traction. So I use a
Hmm.
combination of carousels, I use videos, and I use polls as well,
Yeah.
and of course text as a combination. So I try to drop at least 5 carousels a week, at least 5 videos a week minimum, and the rest, I fill in, and that's 7 days a week. So this is something that's crucial because LinkedIn has such a reach right now, where other platforms are pay to play. LinkedIn is still not at that point yet. So that's an opportunity that people should take advantage of.
Do you think do you think it's going to change? I mean, you hear all the things about the algorithms and everyone's talking about how everything is changing all the time. What do you hear out there as far as the trends? Because I've heard it's 3 times a week. Yeah, there's all kinds of stuff that you hear out there. How do people know what exactly to do?
Well, there are a lot of good resources available that you can turn to. A lot of innovators, I would say. Some of my favorites include Gary Vee and Alex Hamoso, and I read a lot of the material that they have and their experience, and they have seen tremendous growth by posting more frequently. So I follow the leaders
Okay.
that know what they're doing.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. That's really pretty cool there. So do you do coaching as well for people?
Yeah, I do coaching. It depends on my
Yeah.
availability. Most of the time, I'm
Mhm.
speaking in front of associations, and that's been really
Yeah.
probably my main jam, you might say.
Yeah, yeah. So looking at some of the intake, some of the questions I asked you up front, and I want to talk a little bit about leadership here. Can you just talk a little bit about your honey empire philosophy? You catch more flies with honey. And that centers on empathy as a business strategy. Can you break that down a little bit? How does this counter micromanagement and fear, especially in sales where, you're constantly being rejected?
Well, the key thing, you got to give more than you receive. I mean, the fact is that you have to really show value to whoever you're connecting with. And what I do when I connect with someone is offer my free optimization profile checklist or worksheet to help improve their LinkedIn profile. Because that's the big thing nowadays. People seem to
Yeah.
forget that your profile is the first thing that people are going to look at after your resume. And if it looks like crap, guess what? They're going to judge you based on that. People are
Yeah.
amazed. For example, when you look at recommendations, I mean, some people don't have recommendations over years, if any at
Right.
all.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's third-party endorsements are crucial to any kind of trust you're going to build on that platform. So yeah, you really got to step up your game and stop optimizing. I help people.
And when you think about the optimization of LinkedIn and you think about, that first headline, what are some of the trends there that people can, kind of follow when they're creating that first headline?
Well, it's really about adding value to whoever you are, going to be. I mean, that's pretty much almost your tagline, and you want to really emphasize, what you do and what you can do for someone. So in my worksheet, I talk about the boring type of things and the ones that exceed. Everyone's
Yeah.
situation is different, so it all depends on who you are trying to connect with. So again, we can evaluate even your profile if you like, and look at that and see what ways we can improve it.
Love that. I love that. You also talk about emotional intelligence a little bit in high stakes decisions. So when you think about leaders, needing EQ, in order to get ahead, how does carrying 51% help navigate uncertainty like economic pressures or, just helping to keep teams engaged? What do you think about EQ?
Well, I think you have to build trust. That's really crucial in any type of situation, because that's what I think brings loyalty for teams. So
Yeah.
anything that you can do that is going to make a difference, I think, is going to be meaningful.
Yeah. And so when you're thinking about that kind of the relationships, how can you over LinkedIn? Obviously, it's it's an online platform. You're trying to build trust through the connections, and you don't have necessarily that face-to-face contact. How do you build trust? Like, how do you show people that you have emotional intelligence and that you're caring? What does that look like for people?
Well, it's easy. You write a book. You know what it is.
Yeah. Yeah. How about on LinkedIn? When we think about this podcast, we're really trying to reach out those young leaders, the ones that are up and coming. They're new to this platform. They're new to like online networking and building up their network. So, what kinds of advice would you give to them in order to start establishing trust? They're not
Very
ready to
easy.
write a book yet.
Not a problem. Stop optimizing your profile. You have to look at it and don't treat it like a resume, because that's going to make a difference. The fact is that if you're not using the certain keywords, because LinkedIn is a search engine for the most part. So if an employer is looking for a potential employee to hire, they're going to go to LinkedIn, look at the resume, and they're going to look at the profile. If it doesn't match up, it's already at a losing proposition. And I teach that all the time about working with the keywords, working with the crafting a compelling story in your particular profile. Create content. Articles are crucial, and also get recommendations. You should be
Yeah.
proactive with that. That's essential.
Yeah. And what about people that are a little bit afraid to ask for recommendations? What's your advice there?
Get over it, okay? Because that is the building blocks of trust, okay? And there's no excuse not to ask for a recommendation. I mean, for example, after this program, I'm going to ask one from you, and I'm going to make it easy for you by providing you with, a suggested recommendation. And that's what you want to do. Make it easy for the person you're connecting with to give you a recommendation. And it could be a simple, kind words, whatever it is. It's not a big deal. But you'll find that you can get a lot more honey, with bees with, make it easy for people.
Yeah, I think that's something that people really need to figure out is kind of getting over it, right? Other people are doing it, and so you've got to do it. You've got to take your place in the marketplace as well, for sure. Yeah. So when you think about, so talk a little bit about that 51% rule. What's one way someone can implement that rule in the upcoming new year?
Well, I would focus in on creating content, give value to whoever you're connecting with. Stop trying to pitch slap someone as soon as you connect with them, because that's going to really, get off on a bad start. And in addition, create things that are, I think actually is being more frequent on the platform, posting more. The more people see you, the more you gain trust. You should be
Yeah.
posting a minimum of 3 times a day. There's no excuse for that. And you can schedule those posts in advance. I do that a month in advance, 2 months in advance. So I already have it all set up. And also look for influencers who are on LinkedIn and reply
Yeah.
when they are posting. And there are tricks I talk about in my book, how to find those particular influencers and know exactly when to post.
Yeah. I think that's a really big, I've just heard about that, I think a couple of weeks ago. And I had never thought of that. So I think pretty, that's pretty great advice as well. Um,
Yeah.
so when you think about so we're talking about posting. So is it all just informational stuff? Do you, I know LinkedIn is as a business platform. It's, really geared towards, business and professional. Is there room for any personal or a mix of that? Like what's your thought there?
The key thing is to give value to whoever you're connecting with. I mean, people couldn't care less or not, how you celebrate your Christmas or your holiday for the most part, unless you have a, established relationship. I find those to keep them at a minimum. The fact is that you don't want to come across being narcissist, and that's really what your challenge is. Unlike other platforms where like it's Instagram or other things, it's about me. And, nobody
Yeah.
cares. They only
Yeah.
care about and that's what they're there for. They have a limited amount of time and you have to grab their attention. So how I grab attentions, I use either a carousel or I use a video or I use an image that was going to appeal to people. I use polls as well and get opinions of people. But
Yeah.
most importantly, I interact with the influencers because that really makes a difference. That's going to move the needle. And you got to know is when they post and how to respond to that. And the key thing, the sweet spot is respond within the first 10 to 15 minutes because they may have hundreds, if not thousands of followers. And you can get on top of their particular post after they posted. And you could start seeing a lot of engagement with people checking out your profile because of that, situation like you
Gotcha.
did.
So you coach, so you kind of coach on that, or, do you have a class? Do you have a workshops? Like how is it that how do you engage people to teach them how to do all of this stuff?
Well, my website, linkvantage.com, I do have courses that I've created that they can do on their own if they'd like. My book, of course, is a great resource for learning about these things. And for
Hmm.
those who basically have more money than time, I do one-on-one training.
Running a business is hard. Developing your people shouldn't be. At Human Power Solutions, we act as your outsourced chief learning officer, designing custom learning and development experiences that actually move the needle. No fluff, no cookie cutter workshops, just results. Whether your people need better communication, stronger leadership, or less burnout, we provide strategic solutions that align with your goals and keep your team moving forward. Visit hpowersolutions.com and unlock your team's full potential without disrupting operations.
When you think about LinkedIn, you talk about LinkedIn as being the digital kitchen table. What does that mean?
Well, it's really just a platform where you can have conversations with the person you want to connect with, through a DM or a chat. But I think it's an incredible platform because you really are able to get such incredible reach, beyond I'm in Florida, for example. I'm reaching
Right.
people around the world. I mean, normally I would never have that opportunity. And look at that
Yeah.
possibility. So I can get clients from around the world because of that reach on that platform. It's incredible.
I think it's great because one of the things you said in your the intake and that we talked about is that you went all in on your post, to not post buy my whatever ads, right? And you use it as a valuable tool. What do you learn from the platform? Where do you get your most value from the platform for what you do?
Um, Most value I get is the people who follow me, the people who, when I send out newsletters, who read my content and just gives me assurance that I'm, I'm in the right direction and helping people. And the responses that they give me, thanking me for helping them with their, whether it's their profile or connecting with a business that they normally would never have been able to connect as a result of the information I provide for them. So it's rewarding.
That's really great. What do you think about DMs? So there's so much automation right now. So again, for these young leaders that are like, "Oh, AI is going to take care of all of it for me, and I'm just going to sit back and, let that happen." What do you think about all that?
Well, I think if they're going to go that route with automation, they're going to find their account restricted, if not closed, as a result of that. LinkedIn doesn't like that. Algorithm
Yeah.
is very much anti, program. So it's about being authentic on the platform. That's really what, makes the needle move, and that's what AI really can't give you.
What about all the DMs? I mean, I get a ton of them. I mean, it's ridiculous how many DMs I get, that are just, advertising, or even some of the LinkedIn requests that are, advertising once you accept the request, and I'm pretty careful about who I accept these days. So what's your feeling about how do you know when to accept a person? Maybe they're around the world, right? I've got connections all over the world like yourself. And, what's kind of your criteria, or how can you help people that are newer and trying to figure this out,
Sure.
on who to accept and who to reject?
Very easy. Okay. The fact is that you have to change your profile to indicate when people want to connect with you is to follow you first. Okay. Don't make a direct connection. Let them follow you. All right. That makes them two steps in order, if they're really interested, to reach out to you. Then they'll go beyond the follow and they'll ask for, a connection. And that's why I find it to be really incredible in terms of reducing that amount of junk and spam. People want to connect you all the time. All right.
Yeah.
It made a difference because what they have to do, they're forced to, go and another step and, give a reason why they want to connect with you. And
Right.
99% of the time that people want to connect with me is usually to pitch slap me. I mean, that's pretty much it. Hey, I can do something you're not doing right now. Connect with me and I'll make that happen.
Yeah. 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 I know. I always find it funny when I can accept a connection request, I send my calendar link and be like, "Hey, let's do a 1-to-1." And it's amazing to me how many don't do that. And it's like, well, why do you want to connect if you don't want to get to know who I am, right?
Yeah.
So
So
I think,
you got to follow, and set up your profile as your main, to people to follow you. And that really will make a difference because, it also establishes your credibility. The more followers you have, more trustworthy you come across,
you become,
as opposed to direct connections, because you're limited with direct connections, I think, by 30,000, but followers, it's unlimited. So
yeah.
make the switch and you'll see the difference. You'll see a big reductions in spam and more quality connections that way.
I love that. I love that. So you talk about the mix of content that you post. So you're doing a mix of carousels and polls and information, white papers, whatever that is. How do you create your content? Where do you get it from? What do what are some ideas that people can have? I mean, I hate when I see just all the green check marks and all the AI. It drives me crazy when I see that. What's some advice that you give to people on that front?
Well, I would say what I do is I do videos. I post 5 times a week. Usually they're informative videos. For example, this particular episode, I'm going to create 20 different clips out of this, and I'm going to be posting this over a period of 3 weeks, for example. And
Okay.
that's incredible. But giving them short snippets of things that are value, and that's really what you want to do, is provide value to someone. And videos are really a great performer for that purpose. And then take the content of those videos and turn it into a carousel. Okay. And you have the content over there available for that. And then you can create a poll once a week, and poll your audience, on things that are pain points for them. This is just, it's really, there's a lot of opportunity to create content, if you know how to look for it.
Yeah. Yeah. And every day, I think a lot of times people don't realize that every day they're in their work, that they're doing things that people might want to know about. And that can also be a great way to create content and just so you're not sitting there and trying to write, write everything down. I love video. What is so LinkedIn, I hear a lot of different things. What is LinkedIn's feeling on video with links and hashtags and, again, just trying to help us those newbies out there?
Well, the videos themselves should be, directly into LinkedIn as opposed to having it outside and external, like through YouTube or other things. The algorithm doesn't
Yeah.
favor that. So that's the big challenge right there. So as long as you upload directly, you'll find that you'll be in compliance with their rules. And if you join particular groups, for example, there's opportunity to post videos in the groups, as long as it's something of value to the members. I think it's definitely helpful for creating more reach. A lot of people don't really look at groups nowadays, but it's a great opportunity to connect with a lot of people. And also for newbies, it's, I think, essential, because if you want to connect with someone, a lot of times they'll find out how they know you through. And a lot of these groups can have thousands, hundreds of thousands of members and be part of the group. That could be a great way to, a great segue into making a connection with someone.
So is it groups that people are interested in? Is it work related? If you're insurance, you find the insurance groups. If you're a coach, you look for the coaching group. So what's the advice there?
Well, look for groups that are where your particular audience is. So I work with a lot of financial advisors, attorneys. So I usually join those type of groups, look at the size of the group, and if they're active, that's also important too. That makes a difference. And, I'm part of at least 2 or 3 dozen groups, but that are fairly active on LinkedIn. And I try to post at least once a week into the groups to offer value.
And in LinkedIn also, I know I'm asking you a ton of questions today. This is like,
Sure.
LinkedIn also kind of asks for content. So a lot of times I'll get something like, "Hey, we want your opinion on this." As a thought leader in my space, I get those quite a bit. How do you build your reputation up to be able to get those types of opportunities to, add your 2 cents into a content that they're looking for input on?
It's very simple. You got to post more often on LinkedIn.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think everyone kind of understands what they need to do.
I hope so.
So if you could give, looking at 2026, we're, coming into here, in just a few days. What are some of the habits? Like maybe give us maybe 2 or 3 different habits that people can take and start to implement in 2026 to start to build their following.
Well, post more often. Post at least a minimum of 3 times a day. It could be a combination of video or carousel or just a regular short text post. And there's plenty of information. AI can help you come up with ideas which is incredible. And the algorithm of LinkedIn likes that. They like when they see you're active. And you can schedule these posts in advance, which is what I do. So it's kind of like, I can do it on a Saturday and maybe take a couple of hours, and I've got a whole full month of posts available. That's 3 times, you get 3 times a day, 7 days a week. And you got, just add it up. At the end of the year, you've got a lot of, activity, and the algorithm likes that. If you're doing once a week, you're not going to move that needle at all.
And on the scheduler, on scheduling it, they don't like the outside schedulers, right? So they don't like it. They like it coming from inside their scheduler, correct?
Yeah, they prefer that. I mean, obviously they tolerate the other ones, but LinkedIn, of course, wants you to work within their ecosystem. So
yeah. So can you? I know people are going to look you up, but do you have your numbers? Like how many followers you have? And
right now it's about 4,000, 4,500, something like that. I'm slowly building it up, and for me, that's fine. When I make connections, it's the people that offer value or something I can work with them on. So I'm very selective. And I think if the listeners want to connect with me, follow me first. I think it's great because I do have a newsletter that I send out each week, give information on LinkedIn, some tips and strategies that work well. And I try to provide value to whoever I connect with.
I love that. That's so great. So your Linked Vantage, it's linked linkvantage.com, correct, for the strategies and resources. And then LinkedIn, Al Kushner, which we'll put that link at the bottom there. And tell us a little bit about your podcast and who's some of your guests there. I know you said the last couple of ones have been solo, but who are some of the people that you have on your podcast?
Well, they're all solo. So because I drop 4 times a week and I don't have the time, and I think next year may change, it all depends. But right now on episode 78, so it's really incredible. And I find it's short enough that people can listen to. It's under 10 minutes average, which is great. But it's all, meat. It's information that people can find value, I think is important. And also, if your listeners want to learn about optimizing their profile, they can go to my website, linkvantage.com/audit, and then get my free worksheet on optimizing their profile. So they can get started in the new year with a great, profile they can be proud about. So when people check you out, they can trust you, I think is the key.
That is the key. I think that's great. And I was excited to have you on. And I know we're just coming up to the end of our time, but I was really excited to have you on because I think a lot of people, there's so much noise out there with how to build your network and how to build your online network. And just looking at all of your resources, everything that you kind of give away, is pretty incredible. And I think a lot of people need to understand that they can make a few tweaks and a few changes, like follow instead of connect, and start to build up their credibility. So I really appreciate what you do, how much value you're giving to people, and just, it's just allowing people to get the information.
Great. I'm glad to share my insights and have people connect with me on LinkedIn. I look forward to helping your listeners.
I do too. I look forward to having people hearing the results of people following you and checking out your podcast and doing the audit sheet. I might do the audit sheet actually.
There you go. And check out the book too while you're at it. It's also available in audio. So if you prefer listening, while you're doing things, get some great insights.
I love that. Yeah, that's awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking the time on this day after Christmas, right before the New Year holiday. Appreciate your time today so much.
Welcome.
And thank you so much for being on our show. We'll make sure that all the links are down below here, and you can catch Al's podcast. So, Al, is it on YouTube, Spotify? Like, where's your podcast?
Everything. It's on
everywhere.
I would focus mostly on Spotify and Apple because it is audio only. And it's something that people can, get some great insights. And it's short, keep it under 10 minutes. So it's really helpful.
Excellent.
Short to the point.
All right. Well, I love it. And make sure when you do listen to his podcast, leave a review on Apple. So thank you so much again. We really appreciate your time today, Al. And I hope you have a great new year.
Likewise. Have a good one.
Thank you. That's a wrap on this episode of the People Profit Podcast. If you found a nugget of wisdom or even just a spark of inspiration, share the love, subscribe, leave us a review, and pass the episode along to a colleague who's ready to build a people-first culture. Big thanks to our sponsor, Human Power Solutions, for championing workplace where humans thrive and profits rise. Want to learn how they can energize your team? Head over to hpowersolutions.com to get started. I'm Sandra Coker, reminding you that when you invest in people, you invest in profit. See you next time.